If you've regularly been buying comics in the last 4 to 5 years, you already know who Jed MacKay is. Well, you should, and if you don't, you deserve a crescent shuriken to the back of the head. Black Cat, Death of Doctor Strange, and Moon Knight, now MacKay and Cappuccio's work on Moon Knight has revitalized the character maybe as much as the upcoming TV series will boost his popularity. It's definitely not too late to get on board. In fact, it seems like the ride is just getting started. So this week we're talking about MacKay and Cappuccio's run on Moon Knight. I'm Dan Umphin, and this is the Doomcast. Hey, before we get started, I make about one video a week, and they're all great, so if you can do me a favor, please go ahead and click subscribe and hit the bell. If not, I'm not your dad. Moon Knight has long been a fan favorite Marvel character, operating street level, quasi-cosmic level, and of course, the West Coast level. And while multiple creative teams have revitalized the character and breathed new life into the Fist of Khonshu, the current run develops and establishes some major new aspects to Moon Knight. Mr. Knight as a personality of Moon Knights was introduced by Warren Ellis and Declan Shalvey nearly a decade ago, and is something of a business-forward, besuited figure, or sometimes vested, with a full head mask and no hood. And while the formal dress never placed him above violence, Mr. Knight is the business side of things in this current run. But importantly, he's also the main aspect doing therapy with Dr. Andrea Sterman, who fans may remember from Nomad. The therapy is conditional from the Avengers due to Moon Knight literally stealing all the Avengers' powers and taking over the world at Khonshu's behest. Yes, that happened in Avengers recently. It isn't Spectre doing the therapy directly, it doesn't seem, it's Mr. Knight, but Sterman points out the story of Caedmon, the British poet who supposedly had contact with God and went from idiot to brilliant poetic mind and theologian. And she suggested the multiple personalities are less insanity, but possibly more miracle due to prolonged telepathic contact with Khonshu. Even the suggestion that Spectre isn't truly mentally ill is its own major development. Nothing's changed about Moon Knight's DID diagnosis, just that the source of the DID may be something other than we thought what it was. Anyway, the other Fist. Moon Knight has gathered allies in his new Midnight mission, and among them, a converted vegan vampire named Reese, a soldier, as well as a guy named Terry, but we'll get to them in a second, of course. A guy named Dr. Badur, who later tangles with Moon Knight, reveals himself to be Hunter's Moon, the left fist of Khonshu, an Egyptian Muslim whose parents became victims of vampires. He became an inheritant of Khonshu's and has the powers of all the previous Moon Knights, as well as incredible healing powers. Although originally opposed to Moon Knight, the two are now at least at a detente, if not technically allies, against a new threat. And that threat is Zodiac. I mentioned Moon Knight has sort of collected people that he rescued. Reese was an unwilling vampire convert. A soldier was caught up in a tenement where his mother lived, where the people were being controlled through the janitor's sweat. Really. But Terry, a guy from the neighborhood, was in fact a Zodiac. He's drained Moon Knight's bank accounts, destroyed the Midnight mission, and nearly killed Moon Knight and his allies, and appears to be the main antagonist for this upcoming arc, if he wasn't the true antagonist of the whole last one. And he's probably really dangerous because he likely still has the Scorpio key that he stole way back in Dark Reign. But the Midnight mission is back, and now very formidable. While the original building was bombed and destroyed, Moon Knight found himself called to an allegedly haunted property where people had disappeared. When he entered, he too was lost in the endless, ever-changing corridors, but then the building, whatever it was, tried to possess his own mind. And, it's already pretty occupied, so Moon Knight was able to stave off the attack and figured out what it actually was, which is the House of Shadows, a living apparition in the form of a building that feeds off of consciousness inside of it. And so he struck a deal with that, and it now became the new permanent and mobile Midnight mission. Overall, my new favorite character is Reese. Now, this woman, a vampire who by rights Moon Knight ought to destroy, is now working for him but staving off her own vampiric impulses because beforehand she was a vegan living in Manhattan, which is a pivot I think is very funny. You're eating raw vegan lasagna and drinking kombucha, and then a week later you're the last living vampire in your coven and working for a guy with at least 5 personalities in a haunted house. Anyway, I don't expect this show to adopt any of these new developments, and I have strongly tempered my expectations because it seems to be based around a villain who was essentially a Nazi doctor replicating experiments of Mengele and others, and because of that, I fully expect it to dive into some of the street level but maybe not as much into the supernatural part of Moon Knight. And I also don't expect this to get as bloody or as wild or as no holds barred as I've come to expect from Moon Knight creative teams, especially MacKay and Cappuccio. So thanks everybody for watching. Enjoy the Moon Knight TV series, but definitely pick up Moon Knight and the new Moon Knight Black, White, and Blood coming out here, I believe, this week. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.